Okay, welcome back. So we were talking there a little bit about the FIFA and charter market, but talking about regional flying, we've had a very significant announcement of a restructure or of a change in management at QantasLink. Jake, tell us a bit more.
Yeah, so John Gissing, the CEO of QantasLink, announced back in May, June that he was stepping down as of November. They commenced at Qantas a search for his replacement, and they have picked the current executive manager of fleet programs, Rachel Yangoyan, as the new CEO of QantasLink. So she's basically been in charge of this whole the entry into service program for the big fleet renewal that Qantas has got going on. This includes the Airbus A220 fleet that's going to be replacing the Boeing 717s at QantasLink. The first one of those is due to arrive by the end of the year. And this is a pretty significant moment, actually, in Qantas, because with Vanessa Hudson as CEO of the group, Steph Tully as CEO of Jetstar, and now Rachel Yangoyan as head of QantasLink, that's the first time that all three of these positions will be held by women.
And they are the three most senior positions as well. So if you think now that the senior management in Qantas is an all-female staff, then also you've got Virgin by Joan Halitka, also a woman. That is a breakthrough moment for the Australian aviation industry. Now, me and Chris a couple of weeks ago, and they may have talked about this previously when they mugged me off last week, we were in as a Women in Aviation conference in Melbourne. Chris, I'll bring you in here. This is a breakthrough moment for the industry, because with every single sort of top position held by a female, this is a once-in-a-generation chance to encourage more girls and women to get in the industry and to kind of change the imbalance we've got at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And there certainly is a strong imbalance within the sector and industry, and it's fantastic to see that slowly, very, very slowly, more females are being empowered with leadership positions in an aviation role. Look, good on Qantas. Obviously, they believe she's the right person for the job. The only thing I would say is she's kind of part of the furniture and part of the old world problem. So is she part of the Goiter Brigade and Goiter problem? Who knows? Time will tell. Obviously, very exciting times ahead for QantasLink with their fleet renewal, well, Qantas period with their fleet renewal. So it'll be interesting to see what comes of it, but I certainly wish her all the very best in the role. And it's awesome to see that our, two most nationally recognised airlines here in Australia, being the Qantas Group and Virgin, have strong female leadership at the helm.
It's been a long-term topic of ours on this podcast that across all kind of STEM subjects or STEM professions that you have a lack of females, but that's particularly prominent in aviation, just because there is still, we spoke about this before, there is this stereotype that you have female cabin crew and you have a kind of an old white male who's the pilot, and that is a stereotype that has perpetuated and then has become a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy, which has made everything a lot more difficult. You've also got a problem of how we bring because when boys and girls are boys and girls at school, they have an almost equal interest, say, in STEM subjects, and as they get older, you see the girls drop off, and then as it becomes a career option, it very much drops off. And in particular in aviation, it gets solidified into kind of gender roles. And the kind of the issue the industry has is nobody knows exactly why this is the case. It's not there is one specific reason, and also people don't necessarily know how you fix this problem. But certainly, what we are seeing is if you have strong female leadership, then they will give more women a shot kind of naturally. So this does feel like a kind of a huge progression, because we have an underlying talent shortage across all roles in the industry.
Correct.
And unfortunately, the single biggest issue is if you're kind of wiping out half of the population, then you're never going to fill those pipelines. So this is something that absolutely needs to happen for the kind of a future of our industry,
Absolutely,
regardless of your ethical kind of considerations.
Yep.
Well, I will note, Qantas domestic CEO and Qantas international CEO are still both men, Marcus Svensson and Cam Wallace, respectively. But it is definitely a significant step because before Alan Joyce left and before John Gissing's departure was announced, only Steph Tully was, there was only Steph Tully in sort of a female CEO role, as well as Olivia Worth at Qantas Loyalty, who is stepping down, as we've noted. But in terms of the sort of airline arms of Qantas, it's gone from basically 1 out of 3 to 3 out of 3 if you don't count international and domestic.
Now, a story that most of our listeners, though not all of them, will be familiar with is the story of Deborah Laurie. So Deborah Laurie was essentially Australia's first kind of female airliner pilot, and she really did break through that kind of glass ceiling, but she did it in a fairly spectacular way in that she took Ansett to court and through various court battles because he was essentially, or Reg Ansett was essentially stopping having female pilots, and she took him to court, eventually kind of won to such an extent. A lot of people say it was Deborah Laurie that kind of almost brought down Reg Ansett and caused this huge change. But we've had her on the podcast before. We've interviewed her a couple of times. But that's how hard she fought all those years ago. Now we're getting to the other end. This is something that she would never have been able to dream of. But if you are listening, I like to think she is, huge shout out to Deborah Laurie because she was the first person in this country really to make any of this happen.
Yep. An amazing woman.